It was really the wildest thing I have ever seen in my life. Essentially, my day began on the mall where the president spoke um, at the quote unquote Stop the Steal rally, and he all but encouraged people there to march to the Capitol. And pretty much immediately as his remarks started wrapping up, people said that's what they were going to do. And they took off down Pennsylvania Avenue. Um, and I was not with the group that was the first vanguard to reach the Capitol. But by the time I got there, it had already been completely overwhelmed. I worked my way up the steps. And what I saw was people climbing over. They were using barricades as ladders. They were breaking the windows, climbing in and out of the windows, ransacking offices, waving flags and banners from the dome of the Capitol to the cheering mob. Um, and it was just utter chaos. And the crowd was really different than anything I've seen before. I've covered a lot of the president's rallies. It was more diverse, both racially and also ideologically. I mean, there were people there with the Oath Keepers, a militia group, Three Percenters, other militia, skinheads, neo-Confederates, Proud Boys. Falun Gong had a big contingent. There were a lot of people there who, were framing what they see as a stolen election as a product of communist China. A lot of people had South Vietnamese flags. Again, I guess anti-communist, paraphernalia. And I think one of the big worries from my perspective, we could hear booms. There were shots fired at points. And for me, worrying about my own safety and also just watching the situation, it was not clear whether, fire or violence could come from the police or these rioters, because they were clearly violent. At multiple points, I saw them attacking members of the press. I kept my own credentials hidden, except when I was dealing with the police. And then sort of just as rapidly as it began, there was kind of a burst of tear gas and flashbangs, around the 5 p.m. hour, and Capitol Police, with reinforcements from DC Metro Police, managed to set up a perimeter around the Capitol dome. They then, in sort of advance of Mayor Muriel Bowser's citywide curfew at 6 p.m., started pushing forward, and they basically cleared the crowd back with riot gear and mace and reinforcements from the National Guard. So overall, I think what we saw yesterday was a violent attack on the U.S. Capitol from supporters of the president. I mean, that was the one unifying factor among these disparate groups. One person referred to Trump unironically as, quote, the supreme leader, one person that I talked to. And so you had this group of violent supporters of the president stage an attack on the U.S. Capitol. And it was cleared, by the evening. But I think, a lot of the tensions and questions that we saw from this linger on. Many of the people that I spoke to, said they, want to keep doing this. They cited the inauguration of Joe Biden on January 20th as a fixation for themselves. And I think also the sort of industrialized misinformation complex that promoted these conspiracy theories that riled these people up persists. And that's going to lead a lot of tensions and anger. And I worry we have not seen the last of this.
So speaking on that point that we haven't seen the last of this, I'm wondering what you make of essentially the next 2 weeks and what you think is going to be coming down the pike. Again, you're the White House correspondent, so would love to just hear some of your thoughts about some of the moves that are being made right now, even on the part of some legislatures. One, either calling for Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment. We had, of course, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar yesterday tweeting out that she wants to actually move forward with impeachment. Congresswoman Cori Bush from Missouri, saying that some of her Republican counterparts in the Senate and also in the House really needed to be removed. What are you making of some of these political machinations that are happening right now? And how do you see this march to the inauguration?
Well, another thing that we're seeing, in addition to all the stuff you just cited, is allies of the president jumping ship. We've seen a spate of resignations from inside the administration. We've seen former Trump officials and also, other Republicans from, past administrations denounce what happened yesterday. And we are seeing, Democrats, particularly in the progressive wing, suggest that action should be taken to get him out of office sooner than January 20th. One concern I've heard, really for both the impeachment approach and the 25th Amendment, is that they would then set the stage for other debates that would take place in Congress. And given what we've seen, this assault on the Capitol that we saw during the attempt to certify Joe Biden's victory, I think the prospect of another session in Congress that would essentially debate the existence of the Trump presidency is very worrisome for some people and raises the prospect of further violence. But we are seeing momentum on that front. My sources tell me that, after Ilhan Omar initiated that call for articles of impeachment, multiple other members of Congress have joined on with her and are backing that approach.